Hi there, this is Elaine from Learn, Laugh, Play, and today I'm going to show you how to think like a writer. The first thing we need to do is go outside. Why do we go outside? Well, good writers know that they need to observe. Step 1, go outside. Step 2, look for details. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you touch or feel? Let's take a quick look at this scene in front of us now. Look at the sky. It's blue. There's not a single cloud to be seen. Look at the river. It's also blue. But is it the exact same shade of blue as the sky? Or is it darker? Is it more murky in some ways? Look at the small details. There's a truck going over the bridge and a man cycling just out of view. There's a duck at the front. Look at how the statue and the light post are reflected perfectly in the river. There's a nice symmetry about this picture. How could you describe it? Take a piece of paper and write down things that you can see, things that you can hear. What can you imagine that you can smell? The flowers that I can smell are most probably these dandelions behind me. So how could I describe them? Have a look at these really interesting plants that I've just found. They look really tropical. Let's look at them a little more closely. They're quite tall. They're nearly as tall as I am. And they're pointing directly up towards the sun as if they're stretching up to get the sun ahead of all the others. And look at how the tops are kind of curled over, like they're still waiting to stretch out. This indicates to me that it's probably still early in the season and these plants are still growing. And I would describe them maybe as almost like fingers stretching out. You know, when you wake up first thing in the morning and you take a stretch and you move your fingers and your toes, it's almost like they're waking up after a really long winter and stretching their fingers up towards the sun. Now I've found this beautiful avenue of trees. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and make notes about what you can see with me. Let's begin with the senses. Write down what you can see. We can see trees, but what do they look like? They're tall, there's a lot of them, and they're planted in this lovely straight row. Look at how the shadows crisscross across the ground. What else can we see? I can see a white bench. I can see a lamppost. I can see traffic in the far distance. The colours are mainly blue, green and brown. It's a very simple colour palette. What can I hear? I can hear construction. Just to the left of me, there's some building going on and I can hear the drilling. It's a shame, it spoils the beautiful sounds of the park. I can hear some traffic, and now that the drilling has stopped, I can hear children in the park just off to the right. I can hear the water as well, but it's very faint. Now we've already talked a lot about what we can see, a little about what we can hear, and a little bit about what we can smell. But how can we do feel? Well, this one's a little bit different because you don't tend to walk around feeling everything. But sometimes, to make your descriptions more interesting, you might want to just try and describe the texture of something. Take a look at this tree, for example. Can you see how one side of it, the bark is dry and cracked? But on the other side, there's this lush, soft, green moss. The textures are very different. It's really soft this side, and this side is dry and rough. It's an interesting tree. We don't often see trees like this, maybe. So describe them. Describe the two textures that you can see. What other textures might we find? Well, imagine how it feels to walk on barefoot on this soft, springy grass. Is it a little wet from the morning dew? Or how would it feel to put your feet in that water? It's a warm day, but that water is pretty cold. There's rocks just underneath the surface. How would they feel if you put your foot on them? I can see that there's some green algae on them. I think it would be a little bit slimy, a little bit slippy perhaps. So when you put your description together, describe these textures. So we've started to think like writers today. We went outdoors. We spent some time walking around, observing and looking for the details. And we've thought about the senses, what we can see, what we can hear, what we can smell, what we can taste, and what we can touch and what we can feel. Now it's time to get writing. Have a go for yourself. Go outside, it can be anywhere, your local park, anywhere you like, and spend some time just walking around, making notes of all the details that you see. Maybe, if you can, try and visit that place again when it's raining, or when it's busy, or when it's quiet, or if you can, when it's dark. See how it changes, see how the mood changes, and then it's time to start writing. In the next video, I'll show you how we can start writing.